Hey everybody, it's Joe from the Small Business Store. I wanted to take about 5 minutes and just do a quick video explaining the difference between the post office's Every Door Direct Mail, which is similar or usually referred to as EDDM, and direct mail. I know I get a lot of questions from guys who don't understand the difference or they don't know how to do EDDM on their own. So basically, direct mail, standard direct mail, has existed for a very long time. What the post office has always required you to do is you have to buy a list of addresses so they know where they're going to be mailed to. And when you do get that list of addresses, whoever's doing your printing has to either put labels or inkjet the addresses onto the postcard or whatever you're mailing. Now, additionally, you have to have a standard mail permit to do regular direct mail, and that's just because that permit allows you to get a discounted rate. Nowadays, there's presses like I use, and there's other mailing houses that will do from A to Z direct mail for you. They basically give you a total cost for how many pieces you want to mail. You provide them the mailing list, and then they do the printing and the shipping for you. Okay. The reason why a lot of people may do just standard direct mail is because you're going to still be able to get your cost per piece, like the postage cost, lower than with the Every Door Direct Mail. Okay. Additionally, you have less restrictions on the size of the piece that you have to mail. You can do a standard 4x6 postcard, you can do flyers, you can do all kinds of things. Now, with Every Door Direct Mail, there's more restrictions, but it's you could say it's easier, and in the long run, it can be more cost effective. You don't need to buy a mailing list, and you don't have to buy a permit, so that saves you 2 upfront costs. But they do require that you use a very rigid piece like a postcard, and then it has to have a certain size, like a minimum size. I know 2 of the more common sizes that I do for customers is the 6.5-inch by 8-inch postcard or the 4-inch by 11 postcard. So you do have those restrictions that you have to have a certain size piece, but you don't have to buy a mailing list and you don't have to buy a permit. What Every Door Direct Mail does for you is it allows you to pick what are called carrier routes. They're essentially subzones of a zip code, and you do have to mail a minimum of 500 pieces. The rate for mailing is 18.5 cents per piece. So essentially, you could work with a printer designer like myself or a company that they too can do it A to Z for you, where you provide the details or the file to be printed. They'll print it for you, and instead of having to label or inkjet individual addresses onto it, there's just a generic to and stamp printed onto each piece in the printing press, so that saves you some money. The only thing with the Every Door Direct Mail is that the post office wants you to group them, count out, and batch them in 100 packs. Okay, packs of 100, and then you have to fill out a form for every pack that says, you know, what zip code, what carrier route, what the date is, how many pieces are in there, how many total piece, like, is that pack number 1 of 10 packs you're going to have, or 1 out of 8. So you do have to do a little paperwork, but like I said, there are companies out there and myself that we use presses that will do it from A to Z for you. Okay. As far as the response rate, people like to ask, well, what's better? Just should I do a direct mail campaign myself, or I get a mailing list, or should I use the post office's Every Door Direct Mail where I have to mail to everybody in that carrier route? And my answer to that is there's not a clear answer. If you are doing something highly specialized, it may benefit you to go out and buy a mailing list that targets specifically those people, so you might see a better result. If you have a really good offer, if you have a really good reputation, if you have a really good product or service, those things will all go a long way to helping you be more effective in your mailing and your response rate. What I normally tell customers is that it's not necessarily the format like direct mail, or it's more about the message that you have on your postcard. Okay, you always want to highlight the reasons that someone should hire you, not just that you do this service, that service, this service, because all of your competitors do that, right? So if you just say, hey, I mow lawns, or I landscape, or I power wash, or I soft wash roofs, or whatever the service is, all of your competitors do that too. So you're just kind of throwing yourself into a lump and telling the consumer, hey, we're all the same, just randomly pick one of us. Your messaging is extremely important. You want to tell people why they should hire you, whether it's because you have immaculate, excellent service, quality, professionalism. Maybe it's you have the best price, maybe you have the best value. Whatever that is, you've got to give the consumer a reason to hire you and not your competitor, okay? So those are the differences between standard mail, standard direct mail, and every door direct mail. With standard direct mail, you have to buy a list. You have to pay to have that list labeled or printed onto each individual postcard. And then you have to pay for the permit itself, or at least pay a company to use their permit. Usually people who are doing more than, I would say, 5 or 10,000 pieces start getting into doing the standard mail. Every direct mail is more for businesses that don't have a ton of money to spend, but they'd at least like to get maybe 500 pieces out. But then they have to give those 500 pieces to everybody that's in that carrier route or subzone within the zip code. So you don't really get to pick your recipients. They do allow you to at least see, like, this carrier route has a lot more apartments, so you can avoid that one, or maybe this carrier route has lower average income, so you can try and avoid that. But in general, it won't tell you, for example, how many vehicles a resident at a certain address has, or if they have kids, or a whole host of other demographics that you can get if you use a mailing list, okay? So again, a mailing list, you have to buy, you have to pay for the permit, you have to have each postcard individually labeled or stamped to go to that address. It's a little more, the upfront cost is more, but you can get maybe better results through targeting. The every door direct mail kind of lets you get in the bottom floor of doing direct mail. It's got low minimum quantities. You don't have to buy all those extras like the mailing list and the permit, but it does restrict you a little bit on who you can reach out to and who your target audience is, okay? Hopefully this helped. I know a lot of people have questions about what is EDDM. They don't even want to touch it. They're interested, but they don't know how to get going on it. In December, I'm relaunching my website. We will have a service on the website to go A to Z for that. But maybe this type of video at least gives you enough encouragement to say, hey, you can go on the USPS's website and learn to do it yourself and save that money of not having to have a company like me do it for you, okay? So if you have any other questions, leave them in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to answer some specifics I may have missed. All right, take care, everybody. Hope you had a great holiday yesterday.